writers, I'm so glad to have you back for another prompted publication interview. I am very happy to introduce Beth. Beth has been on the site from story one, day one, and I'm very excited to share her new title with you. It is a story that I'm very proud of because Beth was the winner of our first short story competition, I think all the way back in 2017, was it Beth?
Yeah.
Okay, so Beth won, and her prize was a Writer's Right course, how to write a book. And part of that prize was some coaching sessions with me. So this book that Beth has just published is a story that I got to see in its infancy. I got to meet Neve when she was still just an idea on the page. And we're going to talk about it today and a bit about Beth's process. So hi, Beth, welcome.
Hi.
Beth, so let's quickly take a look at your writing process. And tell us, first of all, who are you? Tell us a little bit about your friends and family. What do you do for a day job?
Okay, so I live in the United States. I live near the Adirondack Park. I have a husband and I have a son who's going to be 10 soon. During the day, I'm a clinical psychologist and I work with children and I work with families. And I have chickens that I started during COVID, which have been a lot of fun. And my kid likes them too. And then I have a dog that we rescued, and I have a Sphinx cat because my husband thinks he's allergic to her, or not to her, to any cat. So we had to get a hairless cat, but she's really awesome.
Cool. Okay. Tell us a little bit in between all of that. What does your writing day look like?
I like to write in the morning. If I can get in there first thing, it's my favorite. Sometimes I've been able to write some in the afternoon because as a busy mom, sometimes with sports and stuff, you can't get to writing first thing in the morning. If I have a huge chunk of time to write, that's really my favorite. Sometimes it can take me up to an hour to really get in the zone, but as you guys know, once you're in the zone, you don't want to cut the zone off before it just peters out. So weekends tend to be more my writing days. Cool.
Okay. Tell us a bit about the book and your experience of writing it.
Right. So the Academy Girls came from a prompt. I bought one of those prompt books. I really wish I could give credit to what company I bought it from. But the prompt was wake up, no memory. And for some reason that just kind of spun me off into the direction of thinking about like being in a hospital and having your memory wiped, but being able to offer something that other people want and other people want to control. So that's really where it started. I have experience working in psychiatric hospitals. So I know that that's an interesting setting that not a lot of people get to see. So I thought that the hospital setting, kind of being an old psych ward, would just be another dimension. And of course it's young adult. So I added some coming of age, some, frenemies, kind of a dynamic. And then you have what you have.
Cool. Okay. Tell us, and a bit about the experience of writing it. Was it something that came easily? Did the book just like kind of appear and pour onto the page? Did you do a lot of plotting? Did you do, what is it? Tell us a bit about your process, I think.
So this is, well, it's my, I have another novel sitting on my hard drive that's getting an overhaul. So technically this is the second novel. The first thing that happens to me is I start getting scenes. I start getting ideas for scenes, and I write them like as a scene in one of my notebooks, or I put it in my phone if I can't, so I start getting bits and pieces. Like I got one where she's waking up in the morning and talking to a nurse, and like one where they're making their escape, and neither one of those scenes ended up being exactly how it was in the book, but I get pieces and I get elements that I want to include. And like I've said in short story advice, sometimes I just have to write about it or write the scene down and see what else is going to come out. So no, it was not born as a whole. It was like, I want to have this, I want to have this, and then this is coming. Which now I write more in a more linear fashion for the plot. But that doesn't mean that like little bits don't show up on their own, that I try to like corral into a unified whole.
It's a very technical term, mush and corral. I like that. Okay, how did you end up becoming a writer?
I don't know. I feel like everybody I've talked to wanted to be a writer since they were a child, and I'm no different. My father is a published poet. I had journals that my parents would obviously buy for me, and I would sit and I would be doing my writing, and sometimes my dad would be doing his writing. So there was, and I shared it with him, and there was that family element to it. But even if I didn't have a parent who was a writer, I feel like it's just something I had to do. When I was in college, I kind of came to a crossroads about, am I going to be doing my writing and just that, or, am I going to be a psychologist? And I chose to be a psychologist and to work on my writing after that, which has worked out. But I did take some writing classes in college. I wish I'd fleshed it more out into a minor.
Okay, cool. Does your writing energize you? Do you enjoy it? Do you find it draining? What does writing do to you?
If I can get in the zone. I mean, there's an element that it likes to do its own thing, and we all know this. But if I can get in the zone, I like to listen to or read stories in the public domain, and kind of put like a young adult spin on them. So if I'm listening to a story and I'm like, I could make this into something, or I could modernize this, I get excited by that. Absolutely. And sometimes I'll be writing and I kind of feel like I'm petering out, and then I'll switch over to like taking a walk or something like that. And more of it starts coming. And I got to get off the treadmill or in for my walk, whatever season it is, and get back to it.
Do you have any other creative pursuits, poetry, painting, besides the chickens? And does it feed your writing?
I like to knit. I like to knit. I can sew. I can make quilts. I haven't done that in a while, but I can sew, and I do like to. So knitting, sewing, walking and exercising is good for swirling around and thinking through a plot or thinking through a sticky spot. I enjoy that. Being out in nature is great when you can get it. And I do think that if I want to be in a zone to think about my writing or to puzzle out, a central conflict, then that would be, exercising and crafting is definitely the times to do it if I'm not listening to another book.
Cool. Okay. On that note, what do you like reading?
I read super widely. I'm mainly fiction. I did do a lot of nonfiction last year, like medical history books, because I do enjoy it, but also because Dichotomy Girls is somewhat of a medical setting. I like to do a lot of young adult. I like to do fantasy. I love magic. I like magic realism. I do like a well done young adult book that's not magic. Like, it doesn't have to have magic, like John Green. And I just finished 13 Reasons Why, which is dumb because of my job. Right. Well, it's dumb. I should have read it like 5 years ago when it came out, because it's really relevant to my work. Or like Jandy Nelson, like, they can put young adult themes in like a really tangible and relatable light without being, too over sentimental or maudlin. Like, I can appreciate those too.
Okay. What was your favorite book as a child?
Probably Matilda.
Cool.
Right. I really liked Matilda.
Oh, it is an awesome story. Tell us a little bit about your publishing journey. What read did you choose? What happened?
Well, there's like 6, maybe not even that many, 4 or 5 publishers in the US that do accept unagented manuscripts and unsolicited. So I did send it out there. That didn't get me anywhere. And I queried, you're supposed to query. So there was a consulting service that I was using for a while, and it was a good consulting service. I just lost steam for querying. It wasn't the service I used, but they recommended querying at least 50 agents. And I got to 25, and I got 1 request for a full manuscript. And obviously she didn't go with it. She didn't decide to represent it. And nobody bit. And I ran out of steam with it because there's no way of really knowing why they decided not to take it. And I wasn't learning anything. So it was kind of sucking the joy out of it. And I wasn't learning anything about where I was falling short. You know, like I can't offer that agent like $100 to tell me where she decided to stop reading, but I would have offered her more than that. So, right. I would have, I've been like, oh my gosh, like I will pay you stupid money if you tell me like where I lost you. So there's so many good self-publishing and consulting resources, in my opinion, on the internet. So January, was it last? I don't know what January, I should know. I started the new year out by hiring an editor, marketer that I've seen around the internet. And she took on my work, and she was super helpful in, this is where you need to be, circling too many talking heads areas, telling me where I need to add this and I need to add that. And I learned a lot more from it. And I feel like that made me a better writer, more than it did submitting to, agents. And I used to subscribe to Writer's Digest, and they would have author interviews, and people would query like 95 agents. And I didn't have it. I didn't want to spend my time querying. I wanted to spend my time writing. I wanted to spend my time getting my work out there. I wanted to spend my time learning and getting better. So I chose to, and I hired a formatter and cover designer that I didn't have to hire that person, but she works closely with her, and I thought that would be easier, and it did end up being easier. And then I released it myself. Well, the person I paid to released it in early June.
Cool. Congratulations.
Thank you.
The challenge, of course, of finding 50 suitable agents is you have to go through about 500 agents to find the 50 suitable agents. So querying and traditional publishing is definitely hard work. I can totally agree with that. And like you said, it's the lack of feedback that's incredibly frustrating. But when you talk to those agents, of course, they're so overwhelmed by the number of manuscripts. I think it will become impossible for them to give feedback.
Right. I don't expect more from them. Like they never did anything they didn't tell me they were going to do. Like there were no surprises.
But that is a service that you would pay for.
I want to be like, girl, just tell me.
Let's chat. Okay, so tell me, what do you consider to be literary or publishing success? If you had to say that this is what I was hoping for, what did you get out of the process?
I really, having a book out there that I feel good about, and that other people have been excited about. If you, because I got to tell you, so when I decided to self-publish, I kind of had to go to my space about, not feeling second rate. And I had to work through my feelings on that. However, when I put my book out and I told the people in my life about it, not a single person asked if it was independent or not. All of them said, congratulations, that's so exciting, I'm going to read it. So that felt successful to me.
Yeah.
Having it out there and feeling good about what I am putting out there.
Yeah, I do think the attitude around self-publishing has changed quite drastically. I mean, in the beginning, it was this like sign. There's a quote, and I can't remember who said it, but it's something about, it used to be like the sign of desperation, whereas today it's a sign that you're actually taking yourself seriously as an author, and you are putting your books out as products, and you're thinking about them in long-term business sense, and not just in this like purely romantic sense of having a book on the shelf. So I do think you're in a good space and time for all of this.
Yeah, and I mean, I was a book blogger for a while just to get myself writing, and I needed to read more. Like after I didn't do any fiction in graduate school, so like I was doing a lot of fiction. I was doing all that reading you need to do. And I read and reviewed a lot of independently published books that I wouldn't have even known they were independent. Anya Alborn is like one of my favorite horror writers, and I had no idea that she was self-published like for a while.
Cool.
Right. And I was like, really? Like and she was one of the ones I was like, whoa, I do like horror. I can't read her books a whole lot because they don't resolve. So like I sleep with the light on for like 2 nights after. But that's a sign of a good book.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, but it's also, yeah, and with self-publishing is knowing where to spend your money, and the fact that it is going to cost you money, and the fact that you have to pay the good editors and the good cover designers and stuff. So I think you've done a very good job. Your book looks lovely. What was the hardest part or the hardest scene to write?
Hardest scene. Probably the climax.
Mm-hmm. Is there
right.
a specific reason?
I had to like look up medical knowledge that I wasn't completely sure about, and it was hard to get an answer about, and like I thought the FBI was gonna come find me because I'm Googling, like, where do you, I don't want to spoil my book, but like I'm like Googling like injury-free ways of dying.
Okay.
I mean, when you read it over again, Mia, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I can see that.
Okay, no, cool. I will take note. Was there something that didn't make it into the book, or that you had to specifically cut?
I'm trying to think. I saw that question. I'm trying to think. What did I? I mean, when I won the course, right, I wrote scenes and I did the exercises for things that weren't ever going to be included.
Mm-hmm.
That might be the closest. I don't know. Right, no, I do. Yep, there is one part. There's a part where we learn about Neve's history, and then her frenemy there, Tiana, wants to know hers, and like I had a scene where where she finds hers, but I took it out because I didn't have to have Tiana have no memory at all. I didn't have to actually have that element of it, and I could cut all of that out. And then I'm working on the sequel to it now, and I was able to use some of her sharing her backstory in a scene where they're kind of wondering, like, the love interest isn't being completely truthful, and Tiana is sharing some things about her, and it's making Neve suspicious of the love interest. So I was able to use it that way.
Cool. Yeah. So that you always have to have that folder with the bits and bobs.
Yes.
That we don't quite know where they're going to go, but you'll have them soon. Cool.
Yes.
Okay, and then just to wrap up, I mean, do you have any advice for our writers? Any literary journals that you like following, or maybe just about how you used your 12 short story experience or your Deadlines for Writing experience to write? What can you tell our writers?
And it's you just got to do it. You just have to show up to the page and just put it down. Like when I started really thinking about being a writer and having the time to do that part of my life, I looked up everything you should do and, places to submit. And I was like, I just don't have enough material. Mm-hmm. I just don't have enough to draw from. So, when 12 short stories is awesome because every month I produce material, like I have something, like whether or not I'm going to do anything else with it. But it keeps me thinking of things. It mm-hmm. keeps my brain in the mode of I'm going to put something down on the page. like when I'm listening or reading, you know, like some of my public domain stuff, like I just was reading a lot of H.P. Lovecraft. Not all of that's public domain, but like, you know, maybe I can put that into a story for next month, or just a little kernel of an idea. And then, you know, sometimes the group tells me I've stuffed too much into my word count. And I'm like, yeah, that was a little ambitious. I'm there with you. But it just helped me to create material, and it just helped me to get my brain doing it and shifting into that creation mode, which I feel like is almost like a vibrational shift.
Cool. Okay. Well, those are all my questions. Thank you so much for joining us. I really, really appreciate it. I'm incredibly proud of you. Well done. And just keep writing. Looking forward to the sequel.
Absolutely.